again. And I'd like to again welcome you all tonight to our 4-H Fourth Thursday, where we'll be focusing a little bit about record books and what goes into record books. It's nice to see that we actually have some youth participating. Because we're recording, if you want to turn off your cameras, you're more than welcome. Otherwise, you'll pop up on our recording, and then we make these available online for those people who might be interested in catching up a little later. So bye-bye, Kim. A few of you, well, Kim was recently out there. We just got back also from the 4-H VCOS. I think, Martha, you participated on that virtually, did you not?
Well, I signed up to. I was pretty disappointed in the virtual part of it. So I don't think I'll be doing that again.
Well, hopefully next year you
offered.
Come out next year with me in person then, eh?
It's either going to be in person or not at all.
Yeah.
Last year, they were just getting all that organized, and so I gave them the benefit of the doubt this year. And
yeah,
I could say no, not anymore.
Yeah, it's awful hard doing these meetings virtually, and they were, I think, having to split it between in person and virtual. It's kind of a difficult thing to handle. What we're talking about is there's a volunteer conference for all of you who are interested in volunteering or working in or professionals. I see a couple professionals here as well. There's a conference, an annual conference, a National Volunteer Conference of the Southern States, which is held in Rock Eagle, Georgia every year. And the in-person portion, it's an absolute phenomenal conference to go to. I highly recommend it, and we can offer scholarships and whatnot for that. But you didn't come here to hear about VCOS. You came here to learn about record books. And so, as you know, last year we did some changes to the way record books were submitted and judged, and the recategorizing of where our projects fall into. And that's not going to change at all this year. It's going to be the same system. So our beginner record books, you could submit as many as the counties take 10 from each area. So 10 healthy living, 10 civic engagement books, and 10 STEM books. This hasn't, the only two counties I can think of may have bumped up against that. Genesee County, Benton County may push that envelope of maxing out on record books, and maybe White County. But for the most part, everybody fit well within that realm. And then what happens is that the beginner record books will be judged at the county level, and then they submit the top 3 to me. And then they'll also submit their intermediate books and their advanced books / senior books for the state. We will judge those all in person at the state level, and then we give out those awards at ORAMAs. For the intermediates would be at District ORAMA, advanced would be given out at the state ORAMA. The rubrics, we have a more clearly defined rubrics because of our judges that helped. And I see Janice is on here, and I was actually just with Jan Yingling, another one of our judges. We have some edits. We're going to do some tweaking on those, and I will resend those out in the next few months, probably closer to the end of November, so that you have those to go through as you do your record book, so you know what we are looking for as judges. The one thing I want to, yes? The one thing I want to stress for our youth, for you, Haley, and for all of us working with our youth, is that there might not be a lot of content in there. We know that our kids have been really struggling to find things to report in their record books because of the COVID restrictions and whatnot. Don't worry about that, because everybody in 4-H has been suffering and dealing with the same constraints. And so we're judging you as to whether you're growing, if you're, what you are doing. It doesn't matter what somebody in Drew County or Benton County or Washington County does. We're only looking at that individual youth and looking at their growth in 4-H and what things they have done to try to continue their 4-H experience, even in this pandemic. And it's not going to be a lot, and we recognize that because of, like I said, the restraints that we've had. You're not going to have a lot of district experiences or state experiences because there haven't been that many things offered, but we can see what you're doing individually for their growth. And my internet is unstable, so I'm hoping that we can keep you, but if I go all max headroom, forgive me. So let's see. When you're looking to do, submissions, get with your counties to find out. They're going to want your record books. Each county varies when they want their record books turned in, but the counties themselves have to get all of their books to me by February 1st. So you can expect to have those being turned into your county probably in early January, if not sooner. Some counties might do workshops with you and review them a couple times before they get turned into myself at the state level. So work with your county agents to verify when they want those record books turned in. When it's time to do your record books, I'm going to share my entire screen with you. You're going to see just about everything in the world and then some. When you're doing your record books, I recommend that you come here to the youth section on our 4h.uada.edu and make sure you use that 4h.uada.edu, because I believe our UAEX is no longer working at this point. I think they've dropped that email or that address. And you're going to come over here to youth, to projects and 4-H record books. And everything that you need to know about 4-H projects to help you along the way are going to be in here, whether you need to go and purchase record books or project books. These would take you to our source, Shop 4-H, where you can buy information. We also have our handouts for selecting projects and then information to do your projects to reflect and work on. And I wanted to show you, let's see if I can find it. Is this it? We'll just double check. I think this is the one. Yeah. So here are the projects that are available. These are 50 that we have that are kind of a broad general project areas that you can work. Again, they're divided into the 3 sections, or what we call mission mandates in 4-H. So we have our healthy living, which includes both the mind and the body. Civic engagement, which is where you're going to find some of your arts and leadership and aspects of those, community action, photography, aspects of those. And then your STEM, which is where your animal science is going to be, plants and agriculture, engineering, and technology. And so each county is going to send me, for the intermediate and advanced, 10 books out of here. So 30 intermediate books and 30 advanced books that could potentially be judged at the state level, as well as then those 3 beginners that they're going to judge at the local level that they send on up to us. So that's the project lists. When you're also on that website, going further down, you're going to find all the materials you need for completing your record book. That includes, and I'll update these to the 22, but there'll be your cover sheets. So you're going to want to open that up. And when you do that, you can fill in that sheet with all of your information. And that sheet's not going to change as you go on. So you're just changing the year. But basically, this will be, you mark off, you can check off what your project is and what initiative it falls under, which is right here: healthy mind, body, personal development. Again, those categories that I listed earlier. And then the other thing to remember is to make sure you get signatures as a volunteer. Make sure your youth are getting all the needed signatures, because if we don't have all of those signatures, we will be forced to send that book back. We want to make sure that our record books are complete and that our 4-H agents have had an opportunity to look at that. So just keep that in mind when you're doing those record books, to make sure you get all of your signatures. There's some guides here for completing your record book, some tips and guide sheets, action words, so that when you're writing your record book, that you use strong words. So this is just some little words to use to make your record book more powerful and more that you are doing something rather than just watching. It lets us know that you are actually working hard or observing things, mobilizing, just really strong language. So we want you to practice using those 50-cent words to describe what they're doing. There's also instructions here on building your 4-H resume for those people doing the advanced record book. It takes you with samples and everything that is geared for what goes into that 4-H resume, things to have in it. And if I remember correct, there's even a sample resume so that your youth can see what we're expecting to see with the advanced record book resumes. They can clean it up, play around a little bit, but we want to look for some tips here, not excessive amount. We want to use your white space correctly. A lot of it is more looking at how it looks in general format. So you want to make that look halfway decent. And telling your 4-H story. This is another one that a lot of times our youth might get distracted in writing an essay, but we're looking for parts in that story when you tell your 4-H story that we want to see in every story. And so we're looking for an introduction, and then we want some information on the main project, and then what they've done in other projects. Highlight some of their leadership and community skills, their social skills, their school and career goals, and how they combine that all to tell a cohesive story about how 4-H has worked with that for them. And so when we judge it, we're going to be judging, looking at making sure that we have elements of the main project or other projects. And we're going to change that. So we're not looking for a certain number of paragraphs, but we need to make sure that it's each area has some sort of interest. That's, as a judge, that's what we're going to be looking for as far as that 4-H story. Again, photography tips. When it comes time to do your record book, to fill out your record book, and Janice is here, I thank Benton County every year. They worked really hard to make a working document that you can work on here. So in green, I have all of the instructions. So you just kind of fill in the gap. You can just come in and say, hey, my main project goal is, you tell it to enable editing. You can go in here and you can start just filling in the gap, and everything is formatted so you can just tab right through and go it. So, coming up with a smart, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely goal, something that is like, I will know 3 tribes of Arkansas. If my project happened to be archaeology, I will know 3. I will know is kind of weak. How about can identify 3 tribes historically, and I can't spell today, so historically relevant to Arkansas. So you have a smart, measurable, attainable. Now, is it timely? I don't have a timely goal, so I would say in 1 year's time. It's very relevant to my project of archaeology. I have something that I can measure, and so you continue on. But you can go through, and everything is formatted here. Just delete out what I've put into green, and you put in your information. And so this is, then you would save this, and then also save that cover sheet separate. Martha, do you have your hands up? Maybe not. Okay, so just go through. Yeah, Martha?
No, I was just being sure I was muted.
Oh, okay. All right, so that is the record book form that you'd use. Like I said, everything is laid out easily to fill out. Make sure you have, if there's a section that you don't have something in, so for instance, perhaps you haven't in 5 years done any 4-H promotion or marketing, put that down. I haven't done that. That way we know it's not an incomplete record book. You just haven't done something, and that we don't just send it back saying, oh, nope, they didn't finish their record book. We want to know if you haven't, and it's okay to be honest and answer that. All right. If you're looking for sample record books, I advise that you contact your county agent and talk to them, because they will have access to record books from last year and previous years. I'll be putting those up for my agents. Probably I'm going to be out of the office until Wednesday, but following Wednesday, I will make sure that you have examples of beginner, intermediate, and advanced record book winners from last year. So those will be all in the box drive where the agents can go and get those. Once you advance the record books, if you want to see how they're being judged, you can download the scoring rubric here. Again, I will be making some modifications to that based on our judges' experiences last year, things that need to be corrected. For instance, the way we judge our story, we're not going to be so beholden to number of paragraphs. We're going to find new ways to make sure that we adequately look at that. But don't leave points on the table. So here you can see we need to have all of those signatures, or that we don't want to have a lot of spelling errors. Make sure that you are using the proper font size, a 12-point font, 1-inch margins, and don't exceed the page number requirements. So try to leave, these are easy points that you don't want to leave on the table. And we have it spelled out here so you can see what we're looking for. Now, a beginner record book isn't going to be as strong as an advanced record book. And don't worry if you have, as a beginner or as an intermediate, that you have a lot of 2s and 1s. You always have room to grow. And we don't expect beginners or intermediates to have a perfect record book of all 4s, because there's no way to have that amount of experience yet. You're just starting out in 4-H. By the time you're in advanced, once you're 16 through 19, we expect you to have a little bit more experience. And so that's where we would expect those higher scores to come out. All right. So, we're looking at how many service projects you've indicated and different aspects. And again, you won't have those 12 points if you're a younger 4-H'er, because that's for advanced only. 4-H photos, this is one where a lot of people leave points on the ground, that every kid should be able to get 6 to 9 paid pictures per page, and making sure that they have captions. And the main thing there is to remember to make them action. I don't want to see you just standing posing something, but rather let me see you out working in the pumpkin patch with your trophy pumpkin, or if you're doing archaeology, I want to see you with a shovel digging, or participating in an Archeo Olympics, or something related to your project, or doing leadership or other things. But make them action shots, not just posing with a trophy. We're looking for those that show that. And again, the 4-H story, and this is where we will be doing some modifications on, looking at not so much a paragraph or sentence level, but just making sure that you're hitting upon perhaps topics. I haven't figured out exactly how we're going to work that. If I have more than 5 years, do I add columns and delete? Yes. You keep 5 in. And so if you can only report, Janice, right, it's 5 years that you can report on. So if you're entering your 6th year, you will delete the last year. So you'll go back 5-6 years and delete that one last year. So this year's record book should be 2020, 2019, 2018, 2017, and 2016. So we should only see things reported from 2016 on. 2021. So I lied. It should be 21, 20, 19, 18, 17. So 2017 on. Am I doing that math right? Martha's counting out her fingers too. So I think I got that. If you are an intermediate or beginner record book, you can only report 1 year of your Cloverbud work. All right. So I should only see 1 year of Cloverbud work, and then the rest on. And that's okay, because if you're a young beginner, I'm okay with that. As are our judges. Our judges are remarkably amazing people who and I'm going to tell you a little couple tips. The first thing that our judges do when they judge a record book is they're going to read the 4-H story. That really, really guides how we look at your record book. So make sure your story is complete and tells, a lot about your project, because then when we go back to judge your record book, we're going to be keeping that story in mind and maybe those photos in mind as we're looking through your record book, so we can evaluate what you're doing. So really, really put some thought into what goes into that 4-H story. I don't want to keep you terribly long. I can talk about record books a lot. I'm sure you guys all have questions. So feel free to unmute and talk with me a little bit, and I'll see if I can answer your questions to the best of my ability.
Hey, Holly. Okay, it's my understanding that you can't apply to be a teen star unless you have filled out a record book. Is that correct?
No.
No?
I don't believe so, but I know that the record book gives you points. It shouldn't be. And I think that might, if it hasn't been revised, it will be soon.
Because I thought that was a prerequisite for that, to be a teen star.
I am not aware. Have you heard that, Janice?
I don't believe it is, because we've always had a problem that state officers can be a state officer without even having done a record book. So anyway, that's ours. Yeah, it may be in your county. You know, it may be in your county type, thing. Ours, our kids can't be teen leaders unless they turn in a record book. So it just depends, I think, on your county.
Yeah. It's not a prerequisite, especially now that we have things like congressional awards as well. They aren't, we don't make that a prerequisite. In fact,
for some reason, I thought that was in there. But I'm on a record book campaign this year.
And I don't believe has done a record book. I've got bad connection, so I missed that last bit, Betty. But
I said I'm on a record book campaign this year.
And so, as a few of you know, I recently started my doctorate program, and my doctorate program is actually going to be focused on the importance of 4-H record books in career development and the future of our 4-H youth. So I'm really jumping on this bandwagon. I think that these are incredibly important for our youth to learn these life skills of documenting what they've done, and it really helps them when it comes time to apply for colleges and apply for jobs, having all of their life experiences in one beautiful location.
I applaud you for having that as your doctorate thesis and all that work. I do applaud you for that.
Not a lot of research on it, that's for sure. I'm going to be learning a lot more about other programs, I think.
I think if you talk to any, I'm sorry.
I was going to ask her, what is the website to get to the 4-H? I was on my phone trying to find it to check out the different areas, and it didn't come up.
It's 4h.uada.edu right there. Oh, I do that directly to Abigail. I'm sorry. I just sent it to the wrong person. Well, I sent it to everybody. So it's 4h.uada.edu. Edu. There you go. And so you can go into there and then go through
4-H.
They may be having some technical difficulties. I know that when I went initially, it wasn't working a second ago. So we've been having some server issues at the state office, and perhaps it may have gone down, but it should be 4h.uada.edu/youth/projects, and that'll get you where you need to be.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
I was going to say that if you ask any of your seniors that are filling out their scholarship applications, that's where we get the biggest, feedback on how important those record books are, because they have no trouble filling out those scholarship applications because all their information is right there from the past 5 years. So it's such an asset for them.
Especially nowadays, a lot of these scholarships and jobs they're really stressing the community service aspect that we soar at in 4-H. And so having that list of everything they've done, and they can easily compute their hours and show how they give back to the community, it's phenomenal. I know that my son never formally did his record book, but we did keep track because I'm a fastidious mom. But having that to just transfer over makes it so much easier. And these are life skills that we want to continue as we grow into our career. It helps us to keep better track of our finances, of our paperwork, of everything that we do related to our career. I mean, Janice and Betty, and I think Debbie is on here, as agents and PAs, we are in the heart of our program reviews and our faculty reports. And so having that ability to keep good records helps us tremendously. which is why you need to keep doing them. Okay, Haley? I have other kids there. Abigail's one of my 4-Hers too, right? All right. Abigail, have you won already?
Yes, I've won 3 or 4.
Awesome. So keep it up. I know I've read your record book a couple times, I think. So, all right.
Hope,
yes.
When I applied for my position at Extension, I pulled up my old record book and got all of my information of when I went to Citizenship Washington Focus and all those things. I couldn't remember when they were, but there they were in my record book.
And for our volunteers, just so you know, CWF has returned. And so we will be taking a group of teens this summer to Washington, D.C. So be prepared to see that. As soon as I have dates and details, I'll be shooting it to your agents. I'm still waiting to hear back from D.C. All right.
I would still like to see you up the number of beginner books, but I may be in the minority.
Oh, it's a lot of people would like to see that. We're trying to build our statewide record book program, and we're going to give this a few years try. And if it isn't successful, then we will look to boosting it up. But you don't do change we have to see the impact. And so I'm measuring to see what's happening.
It was negative in my county.
It was in ours too.
For beginner record books, right?
Beginner. It was a negative thing, only having one per.
To recognize at the district. I encourage your counties to accolade, to sing their praises and to reward them at that local level. You know,
well,
we are,
but it's not the same, especially when they've got older brothers and sisters, or they were already involved. It was a big kick in the teeth. I'll just be honest with you. And I mean, even if it's not 10, I would love to see it go up besides 1. That's just not.
Well, we will revisit it because I know that we had very few coming in, but we're gonna, like I said, it's gonna take 2 years, and then we'll revisit, and we'll revisit other things. But you have to let things play out to see if the actual impact. In that first year, you can't evaluate after 1 year's data. It's just not a feasible play. I'm just glad we still have 4-H record books in the state of Arkansas. To be honest, a lot of states have done away with the program altogether. So,
yeah, record books is a great thing. It's one of my passions about 4-H. And
I don't, because I'm not at my office right now. You're at Shea Bragg at my home office right now. But one of my treasured possessions is at my office. It's my mother-in-law's 4-H record book from 1950. It is just kind of a special thing for me. It's also the impetus for why I'm making changes to our 4-H program, because nothing has changed in the 1950 to 1970 years. And there's been very little change to how our record books are doing. And that doesn't mean that it's necessarily a good or a bad thing. Did I mention submissions again are going to be done digitally? So we're going to have our agents, you're going to turn your record books in, they're going to scan them and shoot them to me digitally. But then once we get to judging, we will print them out if they want. If some people want to judge on laptops, they can, but depending on their section, we will print them out at our level so that our record books can be easily submitted. And God forbid, if there's an uptick and I have to go to a virtual judging, I can. But at this point, we will be judging them in person at the 4-H Center shortly after the after Valentine's Day. I don't have the dates in front of me right now, but it's on the books, and I'm going to get the 4-H Center reserved, and we will be doing them in person. So it'll be a little bit more expedited in the judging of our record books this year. Okay. Do I have any other questions? I have kept you for 30 minutes, and I believe the Green Bay Packer game has already kicked off. So I know you all want to watch some football.
That's why you have the yellow in the shirt.
You know it. You're lucky I'm not wearing my cheese head right now for y'all.
Yeah, I love the U of A Packer combo.
You know, when you pick out the shirts for a program, you can blame Karina Boxnick for this ensemble. All right, well, I'm going to stop the recording.